Hi everybody, this is Crystal and this is Robert, one of my kitties. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cat bed here. Now I have 3 cats. I knew that Robert would be the one to claim this. He's not letting anybody else, any other cats get near it. He wants it, it's his. He loves stuff like this. Every time I make bowls and stuff, he tries to fit in them. But this is his. So it's really easy to make. It's made with the jumbo number 7 yarn. Single crochet. You start on the base, single crochet, and then the top edging is a reverse single crochet, or what's otherwise known as a crab stitch. But yeah, you can see Rob, he's wanting me to leave him alone so he can go to sleep in it. I'll go ahead and give you a quick measurement here. Let me set my camera down. Now, I must warn you, Rob gets a little feisty if you try to touch his stuff, so hopefully he doesn't bite me. Can I measure Rob? It's about 17 inches across, and it's about 6.5 inches high. Of course, you can make it bigger if you want, but as you can see, Rob is thoroughly enjoying it. He's not letting any other cats get in it. And even if you're a beginner, I know you can do it. I do want to mention that it might look awkward, me using this big yarn in the video. It's not hard to use. It was just awkward me recording it. That's what made it awkward. Because I didn't have a big space and it was hard to get it on camera. But it's actually really easy to do. So let's go ahead and get started on this. Tell him bye, Rob. Rob's like, I'm going to sleep. Okay, for this project, I used a Red Heart Irresistible. What it is an acrylic wool. It's got like 10% wool, I think. Yeah, 10% wool and 90 acrylic. And it is a jumbo number 7. So you don't have to use this yarn. Any one of these jumbo number 7 yarns will work. I went through 3 of these. There's 29 yards in each. So you're going to need about 90 yards of jumbo number 7 yarn. You don't have to use this brand. Lots of places carry jumbo number 7 yarn. Walmart has it. Michael's has it. Their own brand. Hobby Lobby has a really nice one, a jumbo number 7 that actually has like 120 yards in it. So you could do the whole cat bed and not even have to tie any knots in it to tie on a new skein. That's probably what I should have used, but I had this and I wanted to use it up. So, but those are some places that you can get it. Now I do mention how you can increase it if you're using a smaller weight yarn, like a 4 weight or something. I mean, you can try it. I just don't think it's going to stand up really well for you. If you don't have a jumbo number 7, maybe like a Bernat blanket yarn number 6 would work. But I'm not certain how well it'll stand up. I think your best bet is to try to use the jumbo number 7 if you have it. But of course, I did tell you how to increase if you want to try a smaller yarn. But I just think maybe the sides might flip over on you. This thick yarn helps the sides to stand up. And then I used a size 30 millimeter crochet hook. It's a size T, 30 millimeter. Now, if you don't have this, I believe a 25 millimeter will work too, if you happen to have that. If not, you can always finger crochet if you know how to do that. It's really quite easy. You do it just the same way, except for you just use your fingers. But I used the 30 millimeter. All right, I'm going to start with a slip knot on my hook. Now I'm going to make a chain. Of 3. Now I'm starting on the bottom of the base of the bed. Now I want to slip stitch into my first stitch to form a ring. Like that. Now I'm going to chain 1. That chain 1 does not count as a stitch. So now I want to work 6 single crochets through the center of the ring. So there's 1. 2. 3. 4. 5. You might have to scoot them over to get them all to fit in there. And there's 6. Don't worry, it gets easier after you work with it for a little bit. Now I'm going to use some type of a stitch marker. And since this yarn is so big, I'm going to use this big thicker piece of yarn as a stitch marker. That way I don't lose my spot. So this is round 1. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to jump over to the first single crochet that we made right here. Now not this chain one, the first single crochet that we did. And I'm going to work 2 single crochets in it this time. And this is going to gradually make our circle a little bit bigger. And now I want to work 2 single crochets in each of the single crochets all the way around. So we had 6 stitches at the end of round 1. And now we're going to work 2 in every stitch until we get back to our stitch marker. That I'm hoping I don't lose there. It's possible. But anyways, just work around putting 2 single crochets in each stitch. Alright, once you make it back up here to your stitch marker, you want to go ahead and pull it out and move it up. Now at the end of round 2 there, you should have 12 single crochets. Now we're going to go around again and we're going to start round 3. Now round 3 we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then the next stitch we'll put 2 single crochets in. Now the base is probably, it's not hard, but as far as crocheting, it's probably the hardest part. Once you get up on the sides, it'll be a lot easier. Now the next stitch is 1 single crochet. I mean, the base is the most awkward, I'll say it that way. It's not hard. And then the next stitch is 2 single crochets. So that's a repeat now for round 3. It's 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And then it's 2 single crochets into the next. And that's what we're going to repeat all the way around until we get back to our stitch marker. 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. Then 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. All the way around until you make it back to your marker. Okay, I've made it back to my stitch marker at the end of round 3. And you should have a total of 18 stitches now. Now we're going to move our marker up again. And we're going to go around again for round 4. As you can see, we're just gradually increasing the circle. So what we're going to do is 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So 1 here, and then the next one will be 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So we'll start off 1 single crochet into the next stitch, 1 single crochet into the next stitch, and then the next stitch will get 2 single crochets in the same stitch. It's getting kind of big and awkward, I guess, like that. And that's the repeat now for round 4. 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches, and then 2 single crochets into the next. Now I'm going to repeat this pattern all the way around until I get back to my stitch marker. 1 single, 1 single, 2 singles, 1 single, 1 single, 2 singles, all the way around until I get to my marker. Alright, I've made it to the end of round 4, and now you'll have a total of 24 stitches all the way around. Now we're going to go ahead and do round 5. We're going to move our stitch marker up. Sorry, I had to change my camera to a different angle because my piece is getting kind of big. And now I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first 3 stitches. So it'd be single crochet, single crochet, single crochet, and then 2 into the next. And that's what we'll repeat all the way around. So 1 single crochet into the next 3 stitches. So there's 1, 2 and 3, and then the next stitch we'll put 2 single crochets into that stitch. 1, and there's 2. Again, we'll just repeat that, 1 single crochet in each of the next 3 stitches. 1, 2, 3, and then 2 singles into the next. And I am going to repeat this pattern all the way around again until I get back to my stitch marker. 1 single into the next 3, and then 2 singles into the next, all the way around. Alright, I have made it to the end of round 5, and now I have a total of 30 stitches. Now if this is big enough for you, you can stop. I'm going to go around again and make mine bigger. I have a pretty big, one of my cats is pretty big, so make sure it can accommodate him. But right now, let's check a measurement on, I don't know. It's about 14.5 inches across, almost 15 inches across. I'm going to go around again. So if you're going to follow along with me, I'm going to go ahead and move my stitch marker up for round 6. And now it's going to be a 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches. So 1 single, 1 single, 1 single, 1 single, and then 2 single crochets into the next. So round 6, we're going to go ahead and put 1 single crochet into the next 4. There's 1, 2, 3, and there's 4, and then 2 single crochets into the next. And that's what I'm going to repeat now for round 6. 1 single crochet into the next 4 stitches, and then 2 into the next. 1 single into the next 4, and then 2 into the next, all the way around until I get back to my stitch marker. Alright, I have made it to the end of round 6, and I have 36 stitches now, and it measures approximately 17 and a half inches across. If you want to make yours base bigger, or maybe you're using a smaller yarn, you would just continue increasing your circle in the same manner that we've been doing right now. So last time we did 4 single crochets in a row, and then we did 2 single crochets in the next stitch. So the next round would be 5 single crochets in a row, and then 2 single crochets in the next stitch. And then the next round would be 6 single crochets in a row, and then 2 singles into the next. And you would just keep doing that until you got your base as large as you want it to be. Like I said, mine's about 17 and a half inches. I'm going to stop there, but if you continue to increase, you want it bigger, or you're using a different size yarn, you'll have 6 more stitches every time around. But now I'm going to go ahead and start building up the sides real quick. So at the end of round 6, I got 36 stitches. Okay, now what I'm going to do for round 7 is I'm going to go ahead and slip stitch into the next stitch, and that'll end that round. And what I'm going to do now is turn my work, so I'm working on the other side. So I am going to chain 1 and turn my work. Now we can move that stitch marker for now to get it out of the way, but we'll probably use it again here in just a little bit. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be working in the front loops only of every stitch. So you can see that each stitch has 2 loops. The one we're going to be working in the back loops, I'm sorry. The one closest to you is the front loop, and the one furthest away is the back loop. So I'm going to start in this very first stitch here that I just slip stitched into, and then I chained 1 and chained 1 and turn. I'm going to go through that back loop only and single crochet. Did back loop only, like that. And now I'm going to go to the next stitch, back loop only, and single crochet. This really isn't hard to do. It's just hard to record it because I don't have a big space. Now I'm going to go into the next stitch, back loop only, and single crochet. So this is going to build up the sides. Next loop only, back loop, or next loop, back loop only, and single crochet. So we're not increasing anymore. And we're just going to put one single crochet in the back loop only of every stitch now. And the reason why we do it, the back loop only, on this round 7 here, is just kind of decoration purposes only, I guess. If you look, now you can see by going into the back loop only, right here is the front loop that we didn't go into. It's creating a ridge that separates the base from the sides. It's just decoration. It really don't serve no purpose. If you went through both loops, it would still be the same, but it would just wouldn't have this ridge here, the ridge of separation. So I'm going to continue around working one single crochet, back loop only, until I get back to my starting point. And then we'll probably need our stitch marker again. But I'm going to continue around here on round 7. Just like that. Looking pretty good. Alright, I have made it around to the end of round 7, and you can see the ridge that it put on it all the way around. Now we're just going to do around round 8. We're going to go ahead and we could put a stitch marker here now at the end of that round. That way we know where we end and where we begin. You should have 36 stitches still. You should have 36 now all the time. Now we're going to jump to this very first single crochet here that we did, and we're going to go through both loops of it in single crochet like that. So we got my stitch marker down there marking my spot, so I know where I end and where I begin. And I'm going to work around putting one single crochet in every stitch. This time I'm going through the both loops. We only went through that one loop on that one round. So we're on round 8 now. One single in every stitch, both loops, until we get back to our stitch marker. Okay, I was going to show you for a second. If you're wanting to know how to tie these, this is how I do it. I don't know if it's correct, but how to tie the new skein yarn to it. I just tie a knot. It's probably not the correct way, but that's how I always do it. And leave a little bit, you know, a couple inches of tail there, 2 or 3 inches that you can weave in later. So that's what I do. That's how I attach. Pull it tight, a new skein, and then I just continue with my work. And then later at the end, since you left those few inches of tails on them right here, we'll be able to just take them and weave them in like this. It's real back and forth. It won't be noticeable like that later at the end. I'll do that to all of them, but that's how you do it. That's how I do it. I don't know if it's right, but it works. So just continue all the way around here until you get to the end of round 8. Alright, I made it to the end of round 8. I'm at my stitch marker, 36 stitches still. I'm going to move my stitch marker up, and I am going to go around again. And I'm going to work one single crochet in every stitch for one more round, and then I'll do an edging on top of that. So this is round 9. It's just the same as round 8. One single in every stitch until you get back to your stitch marker, and you'll still have 36 stitches. Okay, I have made it to the end of round 9. My piece measures approximately 6 inches. I'm going to do an edging, and I'm going to call it quits. If you want to make it bigger, you can. So I've made it back to my stitch marker, and I went ahead and just pulled my stitch marker out. What I'm going to do is slip stitch into the next stitch, and that'll end round 9, 36 stitches total. Now what I'm going to do is a reverse single crochet across the top, otherwise known as a crab stitch. So it's really easy to do. It might be a bit awkward at first, but it does make a little neat edging. So what you do is you just chain 1. And now we're going to go into this next stitch here. And we're going to single crochet. We're just working single crochet, but we're working it backwards, and it gives it a little bit different of a look. So working this way, you just go, I always hold the hook, hold this loop that's on my hook so it don't get lost. Go into that stitch. Here's our, where we chained 1. We're going to go into this next stitch right here. Not the stitch right below the chain 1, but the next one. Go into it, and then you draw up a loop, and you just do a single crochet like normal. Go through both loops on your hook. And that's pretty much what it is. So again, you go into the next stitch. I hold that loop that's on my hook. It's just easier to hold it. Go into that next stitch, draw up a loop, and go through both loops on your hook. And I'm going to do this all the way around the top. Here's the next stitch. Go through it. And then just grab your yarn, do a single crochet like normal. I guess it's a bit awkward at first once you get used to it, but it does make a little neat texture for a finish out. Use it for any project pretty much. It makes a neat little stitch for the edging. So you can see what we're doing. We're just doing single crochets, but we're just kind of working backwards like that. And I'm going to do this, oops, my yarn's tangled, all the way around until I get back to my starting point. Just keep doing 1 reverse single crochet, or a crab stitch, it can be called that sometimes, in every stitch. Super easy. Awkward, but easy. That, and if you look at it, you can see that's the type of edging it makes at the top. It's pretty interesting. It's a bit different than a regular single crochet. As you can see, it kind of makes it look slanted a bit, loop slanted. So I'm going to do that all the way around until I get back to my starting point. All right, I made it all the way around and that end of round 10 on that edging, and I'm going to go ahead and end by slip stitching and do my first stitch here like that. Now I'm going to pull my yarn out a little bit, and I'm going to tie it off. Flip it off. There we go. It's pretty cool looking, that edging is. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with all my tails, I'm going to get maybe just a little bit smaller of a hook, like this. And what I like to do to hide these tails is I just kind of weave them in this big, thick yarn. It's really not hard to hide these big things. Just kind of go through and use your hook and weave them in. Any tails, anything that you had to tie, knots that you tied and you have to hide them in. See that right here where I tied some knots? Well, you probably can't see it because I don't have much room here. But you just weave them in with your hook, just around a couple times, then we'll come out. But just like that. So I'm going to go ahead and weave in all of my tails and any tie-ins where I had to tie on a new skein of yarn. Get them all weaved in, and then I'll turn the camera back on. Alright, here is the cat bed. The total height is about 6.5 inches now, and it's about 17, like I said, across. But that's it. That's all there is to it. I think my cats are going to like it. I hope you enjoyed my tutorial. Remember, it's a lot easier than the way I made it look. It's just it's hard to record it. Hey, but if you like this, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Click the bell to where you make it ring so you don't miss any of my notifications. And until next time, have a good day.